do I want quality or quantity? When we first started, we had a mission. We wanted to be almost like the Walmart of urgent care. What that meant was we wanted to be well known, but we didn't want to gouge prices. We didn't want to constantly be in a position where we're, increasing prices and charging all these absorbent fees. We want to be good, great quality care in rural areas. Our destination was not in the big cities. Our destination was in the up and coming areas that we were seeing development, especially in Dallas-Fort Worth. Most of our clinics are in the Fort Worth area. So what we would do is we can kind of go in these areas. You look at, all right, who's building schools? Why are they building schools? They clearly know something that other people don't. How many houses are being built in that area? What's the average price of those houses? How much commercial insurance? Who's coming in? So when you do those, and you can kind of see, our business model was be the first urgent care in that area. Expect to take a little bit of a loss, but we're expecting exponential growth in those areas, so it'll come to us. That's been our model. The first one that we did great, so we've been basically using the profits from those first ones and continuing and going, so now we're up to 4. And our goal is to get about 6 and then probably exit with it. But our model was very stay away from the big cities, go to areas that are up and coming, utilize the city planning and the demographics to see what they expect, and roll the dice statistically with those.
Well, when you're ready to exit, I know a guy.
Fantastic. So I heard some mergers come out.
Yeah. I want to go back to the decision you made or the epiphany you had where you said, I've always had something hanging out there, the next goal, and I don't have that anymore. And you made a conscious decision that you wanted to become an entrepreneur, and you went through a self-constructed reading program. And were you successful in completing that reading program and saying, I now have a construct, an ideology for how to be an entrepreneur, and then the opportunity came up and you seized on it? Is that?
I wish I could say yes, but I was more confused.
Okay.
Because then you realize how much you don't know.
Right.
Because when you come in and you realize that, oh, I'm just going to read a couple books, I'm going to do this. This guy says that I could be a millionaire in 300 days.
Right.
No problem. Well, you start realizing you don't know half of the terminology that they're talking about. So now you got to get another book to explain that terminology, and then that, and then it. So it almost left me in a place where I had more questions than answers, but it allowed me to know what I don't know. And that was something that I didn't know from the beginning. And that's how I allowed myself to kind of understand my flaws and my weaknesses, and at least be able to recognize those before I even got started.
You mentioned Vic Vescovo in our interview with him, and he was a naval intelligence officer. And one of the things he talked about, how you get in trouble investing, is the unknown unknowns, right?
100%.
The things you don't know that you don't know.
Absolutely.
That'll bite you. I'm not sure we got an answer for how to address that.
Well, I was just going to say, speaking of getting in trouble, he specifically told you, my name is Victor.
Oh, he did
not?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Victor. If you watch this, he said my sister's name is Vic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, Vic.
Yeah.
The unknown unknowns. So you read a lot. You learned a lot, but you also learned that there was still a gap. And I assume you're still reading at some level.
Absolutely.
But ultimately, an opportunity came across your path, and now that you had an entrepreneurial mindset, you saw it as an opportunity and you executed on that. Can you describe how that came about?
So as far as the clinics went, I had a partner that I worked with in the emergency room who we always kind of bounce ideas off of each other. And he was like, hey, what are your thoughts about this? And we were trying to do this. And so I said, it's perfect timing. I actually wanted to really kind of get into this world. Let me hear what we got. And so we sat down and he broke it down, and he actually had a really good guy kind of formulate the business model and kind of, go through numbers. And again, all things that were 100% foreign to me. I understood where he, the number aspect, but how he got it,
right.
Expectations, projections, and all that. Phenomenal projections in the sense of understanding algorithmic and addition and negative and what to look for. That was when I realized this is the business side, to which I had no experience with. So when you see that, that's when it kind of really made me excited, because I was like, this is something now I can look forward to learning. And it gave, just like I said earlier about I didn't know a lot of the terminology. Well, this was an actual project that I can utilize to learn those terms. And that's when it really kind of hit me, because I was like, okay, let's do this. And that's where it kind of
So is that project the development of these urgent care clinics? Because you also have a product, a piece of medical technology you developed
Correct.
that followed the urgent care clinic.
Totally different.
Yeah.
But yes, that was originally when the urgent care kind of became self-sustaining. I was back in that spot.
Yeah.
You know, what do I do now? And that's when the mind just couldn't stop. And so this story started off with the incentive spirometer, the InSee. My brother, who is a communicational engineer, he's a professor up in California. One day his buddy was in the hospital, gave him an incentive spirometer. Lane, I know you've done this before.
Yes, familiar.
And he said, the doctor came in and said, hey, have you been using this? And my buddy and my friends, my brother's friend said, yeah, I've been using it all day. And he left, and my brother was in the room. He's like, I've been here all day. You haven't used it at all. He's like, they don't know. They don't know how to track it. And so, ironically enough, my brother calls me. He's like, hey, do you know about this thing? It's called the incentive spirometer. So how do people know if one uses it or not? I was like, it's so hard. No one's ever come up with an idea. I was like, but you know what? You should make something that tracks it. He's like, okay. So literally over the weekend, he hot glued some stuff together, made a little sensor, tracked the piston to go up and down, and had a little screen on the bottom of it. And within like 5 days, he had a prototype. And I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. We should do something with this. And ironically enough, his friend actually went back to the hospital 2 weeks later with pneumonia. Unfortunately, he's fine, but because he didn't use it. And that's where the whole concept of this device came in, is create a device that is simple, a fraction of the cost, and it turns an analog device into a smart coaching digital device. And that really made my life like have a purpose. And I was like, this is what I'm going to go now, full-fledged.